Because let me tell you something. When I tapped in, we were at 85,000 live. And so if we, going back, we 458,000. How long was it? Let's go ahead and get started. Hour 49. And I'm gonna speed up. I don't have time for
Discover a better kind.
wasting all my time.
Hunter Biden.
Yes, okay, blazer. We got on us a blazer. Let me move this chat out of the way because it's messing with my peripheral. I was leaning. Hold on, let me get situated here. Let me go cut the air off because it is on. I was trying to. Let me give it a thumbs up. I was trying to cool it off while these people were trying to go to sleep. It'll be too cold for me. Remember when the first time I met you? But she said she didn't see the heartbreak in his eyes, in your eyes. Now I'm building bridges. I get over you. I get over. Let me see if I can. Let me go over here. Oh my goodness. That's some earwax draining out of my ear. Okay, I should be on high quality, so I don't know why. Am I on Wi-Fi? I'm on Wi-Fi. Oh my God, thank you guys for the thumbs up. Happy Thursday. Assalamu alaikum. Is that what it says? Is that how you spell it? Assalamu alaikum. I think that is how you spell it. I've never seen the spelling before. That's so crazy. Assalamu alaikum. Oh my goodness. I've never seen this spelling before. I'm glad I knew what it said. Let me go get this ear real quick. Hold on, give me a second. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Dang, that's crazy. I've never seen that spelling before. Oh, here we go. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Alright, I'm back. Till I had to grab me some water. I drank half the bottle on the way from the kitchen into the living room. I drank like half. And then, of course, I got thirsty again. Trying to log in and stuff. And so this is all I had. So I went ahead and grabbed another one. I also had grabbed some grapes. It's green wise though, because brand power is important. And then of course this is green wise blueberry mini. Brand power, honey. It's critical. Go.
Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
It's wonderful.
People are just going to be like, how on earth did this happen?
I know.
I got to give them a bit of a backstory. So I went to dinner with a fellow podcaster, and we were just talking about interviews, because we don't do too many interviews on the show. And he first asked me what was the best interview I ever did, and I said, without question, the USS Liberty survivor, Phil Turney. And then he said, what would be your top interview that you'd want to do? And I said, oh gosh, we're in such a different time now. Like, I'm just not interested in politics. Like, it would have to be something so different. And then I said, actually, Hunter Biden. I said to him, I watched your sit down with Andrew Callahan,
Yeah.
and it was kind of the most refreshing interview that I had seen in politics in a very long time, because we're so used to being gaslit about various things happening. Everyone's trying to hide stuff. And we read a lot of.
Hold on, let me speed it up, because, well, should I? Just a bit. Let me speed it up just because she already got 149. She be trying to act like she running out of time when she be going live. But when she got all the time in the world for an interview. But when she be live, she only
About you. I guess we didn't really hear anything from you. So this was kind of the first time I heard you in your own words just totally owning your addiction issue.
Hold on just a second, please, ma'am. Get it together. Okay, hold on, let me. Because we live, we know.
Also going after Jake Tapper and George Clooney, and when we were kind of expecting the typical Democrat, like, these are great guys, these guys are amazing, Jake Tapper should, win a Pulitzer, I don't know. And I would just, it wasn't what I was expecting, is what I would say. So, and then that person just sort of made this happen.
Yeah.
This is the perfect pair for your iPhone, and it replaces 3 different chargers. So when I travel, I don't pack extra cables, I don't have to pack extra bricks.
Yeah.
No.
So what
I'm gonna just let you know ahead of time. It's not me, it's the grapes. I'm shouting out green wines for a reason. Her grapes hit different.
Not to just sort of get into the Hunter Biden story, I will say to the audience right now, I have already made the pledge right when I got on the phone with you that, like, obviously I'm not going to make you say anything bad about your father, because that would just be completely demonic to, like, say something terrible about your father. Everyone knows my opinions, my political perspectives. They're already out there. He's your dad. So that is separate from
I
my
appreciate it,
viewpoints.
because there's no way I possibly could.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, ma'am, you ain't even got to say that because, excuse me, that's Pops. Hell you talking about?
I totally get that. But there's a lot to be said about you, and a lot that I guess hasn't been said about your journey. And I guess I want to start with just one question for the culture.
Ooh.
The cocaine that was found at the White House.
Was it yours?
Was it yours?
No. I don't really listen to that much. No, number one is thank you for having me here. And one of the reasons is to be able to answer these questions. The one thing I am, after...
God, he looked just like his damn daddy. It is so terrifying how much he looked like damn Joe Biden. Look. Are we looking at the same person? This is terrifying.
6 years of this. I've been sober since June 1st of 2018. Clean and sober. Verifiably so, by the way. And verifiably so by the Bureau of Probation, in which I was drug tested randomly for over the course of 2 years while I went through my trials and things like that. But beyond that is that, directly to your question, I wasn't even there. Not only there, but people have to understand, is where that cocaine was found was, the visitor's entrance underneath that is where visitors come in and they come over from the old executive office building staff to go to the Oval or go to the chief of staff's office or to the offices in the West Wing. And it was found in a cubby in right outside of the Situation Room. And it's like no possibility, not even remotely, beyond the fact that I wasn't even there. I mean, I spent probably, over the course of 4 years, maybe 25 days at the White House, like 25 nights, 30, if I'm being fair. And so it's just, it was an easy, I'm an easy target, and understandably so.
Right.
I've been, I think, probably the most famous addict and famous person who's a grace of God in recovery for 7 years, but close to 7 years, June 1st.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were on drugs while your father was in the White House. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it might have just also been the timing of the laptop coming out and then people just assuming that you were still on drugs. I don't know. That might have been why I was speaking about that.
I think that it was that they purposely conflated. I wrote a book, which came out in April of 2021, in which I did something that very few people, I think, ever in that are kind of like similarly situated to me do, in which I was 100% frank about the fact that not only was I an addict, not only was I alcoholic, I don't really see the distinction between the two when they're both drugs, but I was a crack addict. Like I was a degenerate crack addict. I mean, I've heard you call me a crackhead many times, and the truth of the matter is, I was a crackhead. And I say that not to shock people, because it's really shocking. Crack cocaine carries such a stigma to it to begin with. But I say it because I think that there are so many people. I know. There are so many people. I think that there's, at any given time, 30 million Americans that are either in active addiction or in recovery. There's not a single person that I know that hasn't been impacted by addiction at some level, in some form, personally, or with someone that is 1 degree of separation from the
And at some point, you have to get yourself to that recovery phase. Everybody has their own time. Trust me. I listen, like he said, everybody either has or knows someone. How ironic that the quote is about willpower. How ironic is that? I was over here thinking about cannabis. Man, I can't wait to at least roll up. That's nothing compared to living with an alcoholic mother. Nothing. Growing up with an alcoholic mother. That's nothing. Oh my goodness. It's nothing. Because let me tell you something. It was... It's not about Hunter. It's about Hunter.
No one. I know.
Least of all me.
Yeah, and part of that, one of the reasons I'm here, the stories that you tell about that, in terms of
My family.
your family, and there is where the common ground is for me. I can 100% say this, is that a friend of mine gave me this quote about 2 years ago, and it's become my mantra. It's Mother Teresa. It was attributed to Mother Teresa. Is if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. That's my everything now. And part of that is not just the family that you have by blood and birth, but also the community that you're inextricably tied to. And that community for me is the recovery community, and it's people that are still sick and suffering from addiction. And so the biggest reason that I wanted to come talk to you, beyond the fact, and this is not me blowing smoke, I think that regardless of whether I agree with you, that you're probably the most effective communicator I've ever heard behind a microphone. And it's really drove me crazy at times. It's really made me mad. Yeah. But is that I wanted to talk to you about those things and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah. I'm most interested in the addiction story. And I was saying to you before we got...
Before I started using Farmer's Dog, I would fill my dog's bowls up with dry kibble in the morning, and they would just kind of walk by and pick at it all day. After we switched to Farmer's Dog, they cannot wait to eat. My golden retriever is 6 years old, but the way she used to act, you would think that she was 9 or 10. Switched to a Farmer's Dog, and her...
Before we started rolling, that this was sort of something that I noticed when I would cover various topics, whether it was pornography, drugs on my show, drinking, how many men would write and say they were suffering with various things, and yet they don't often speak about like how they're quietly suffering, whether it's with addiction to pornography, addiction to drugs, and I don't think there are enough conversations about it. And so when I watched that interview of you just laying it out there, something that most people try to hide or they're shameful of, I was like, there actually just needs to be more dialogue about it. I grew up with tons of addicts in my family. I have people in my family who are still addicted, and there is, I think, there is a natural anger that people have when they, for some reason, believe, and I think this was part of the anger that that I had it towards you before I heard you speak about your addiction, is that you sort of think when somebody has money and political connections that somehow removes them from going through these sorts of barriers in life. So when I grew up, it's like, okay, like you have uncles, whatever, that are addicted to crack, you have cousins that are doing crack, whatever it is, or experimenting with meth and drugs and those things. And then you see someone that has a life of privilege, and for some reason in your mind you wrongly go, okay, that can't happen. And it did happen. And I'd like to hear like how you got addicted. Like what was actually the story, your path toward addiction?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, thank you for
Nice.
let me talk about that or asking me about it.
Yeah.
And I really mean it. It's one of the things that traps people. I can only speak about myself, but I think that people that are in that are addicts or that are in recovery, also you find out really fast is that you're not as terminally unique as you think you are. Is that and one of the things that that is really important about addicts talking to each other and talking about it is that realization. Because one of the things that traps you in your addiction is shame.
Mm.
And you like me are Catholic, and we have learned that guilt is an appropriate emotion. Guilt is an appropriate response to something when you've done something wrong, and you're supposed to atone for it, and you're supposed to seek forgiveness, whether the forgiveness comes from an individual or not. That's the lesson. Is that it is in only through seeking that forgiveness can you release yourself from that guilt. That's appropriate. Shame is not. Shame is just absolutely corrosive. Shame is you telling yourself that you're not worthy, that you're never going to be worthy, that the things that you've done you can never be redeemed from. And I've done horrible things in my addiction in terms of what I did, in terms of my relationships and decisions that I made, and more than anything is just removing myself from being present for the people that love me. And what happened to me, and I really mean this, is that the exposure, not piecemeal, but the total exposure, my entire digital footprint stolen from me, 20-year digital footprint, every text message, every picture, all of the things that you would be ashamed of, became front page news for 4 years, 5 years, beginning in 2019, and it forced me into a choice, and the choice was, do I get out of bed and live, or do I die? And it became that much of a dichotomy, and I chose to live. And it wasn't easy, and maintaining sobriety in that kind of like a pressure cooker is often the thing that triggers you. But something broke in me in a good way, which was that I no longer have any fear. I like, sitting down with you is to me all an opportunity for you to see me as a human being and not, Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah.
And the pictures that, Congressman Green, put up in Congress, or the New York Post. I think I was on the cover of the New York Post in 1 year more than anybody in the history of the paper, and none of it was good. None of it was good. And but what it's given me is the opportunity to own it all. Is to own all of my story without shame or fear. Realizing that I have a community of people out there that I want to be of service to. I really mean that, and so part of it is by me being able to be honest about it. We were just talking before we started this. Is the hardest thing for any addict to do is not only get honest with the people that they love, but to get honest with themselves. And until they can really see themselves for who they are, all of it, and decide to love themselves, then the cycle is just going to continue. It's just, at least in my experience, that's the truth.
Did he answer the question? Because he is rambling, Lord.
I think one of the things.
Did I even answer your question?
Yeah. Well,
I know I wasn't tripping. I know I wasn't tripping. I'm like, okay, Hunter, did you answer the question though? Because we wanted to know how you got hooked on crack.
talk about the first time that you got introduced to it, because that's interesting.
Oh, I know. I went into all the good stuff.
Actually, do start with that. Like, how did you actually get introduced? First off, describe for people who don't know the difference between cocaine and crack, because crack is a lot more addictive. And so, just what is the difference?
I know I got a lot of heat for.
No, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I was like, well, he's actually very educated on this. And
well, it's important to me to make the distinction that there's this idea that there's this kind of a secret kind of special enhancement to powder cocaine that makes it into crack, and you have to have some technical degree in order to be able to do that. And let's start all the way at the beginning. I think that I'm genetically predisposed to being an alcoholic. I do believe that there is a genetic piece of it. I do believe that my brain works differently as an addict in terms of the way in which my synapses fire once they're introduced to the dopamine hit and the serotonin increase that occurs because of an introduction of a substance. I believe that that I became acclimated and physiologically dependent upon that when I started to drink in earnest when I was in college, in which you can control. And I made it through Georgetown, and I went to Jesuit Volunteer Corps for a year, and it was kind of like domestic peace. Well, the JVC. I was JVC for a year after college, and then I went to Yale Law School. Was married, had my oldest daughter when I was a first year law student. Made it through all of that, and made it through my first years of employment, drinking probably more than everybody than most people do, but completely functional. One day I woke up when I was 33 years old to my brother calling me and saying, "This has got to stop. Like, you got to stop." And what he meant is that like a whole weekend was missing, kind of. And I said, "Okay." And he drove me to the airport, and he put me on a plane in New York, and I flew to a place that was started by Eric Clapton called.
Did you hear about the new trend called soap nails? All the beauty media are talking about it. Ultra shiny, natural, and healthy.
Crossroads in Antigua, and I went to rehab, and I came out, and I went directly when I came out. My brother picked me up from the airport, drove me to an AA meeting, walked in with me, DuPont Circle in DC. I met my sponsor at that first meeting that I ever went to, and I stayed clean and sober for about 7 years, and then I relapsed, and it was such a mundane, stupid story. I was on a plane by myself. Everything was okay. Things were looking up. It was normal life pressures, but it was all good. And that's the real insidious thing about addiction and alcoholism. It never goes away necessarily. There's always the answer that is being presented to you by the thing that you trust the most, which is your brain. Mm-hmm. And what it says is, if you don't want to feel this way, whatever the way is, or if you want to feel this way even more, I have the answer for you. And I was on a plane by myself, and I had a drink. And that drink in 2010, 7 years almost of sobriety, started a cycle of relapse and recovery, and relapse and recovery, in which it was really hard for me to be honest with the people that love me, because I just wanted to hide it. I just wanted it to go away. And I thought, okay, I'll get through this cycle, and I'll sleep it off this weekend, and that's it. I'm done. And that would last a week, and then it would last 3 months, and then I went back to rehab, and then it became then I came back, and I started, talk about, you talk about this all the time, which I love that you do. It was big pharma, I had shingles, and so somebody prescribed me like 52 ridiculous, and I started that, and then I started drinking again, and the prescription ran out, and then this cycle just started to happen. And, but when my brother died, it all fell apart. Bo and I were, and I don't purport that our relationship was unique, or that his loss was greater than my loss of him was greater than anybody else's loss of their brother or someone that they deeply loved. But when my mom and sister and my Bo and I were in a car accident in 1972, and we survived, it was the two of us every day. We were a year and a day apart. We talked every day. Except when he was in Iraq, I literally probably talked to my brother every day. And when Bo died, my marriage fell apart after 22 years. By the way, for reasons that marriages fall apart, but I take a lot of responsibility for it. And it just started a really, really dark cycle. In the past, when I would have these relapses, there was always someone in such proximity to me that they would I couldn't escape. In this instance, Bo was gone. Right after Bo died, I ended up separated from my wife within a month. And my dad, for the first time in my life, who was my rock, was stuck in his own grief, deep grief. Mm. And I just went down into a hole. And I checked myself into a rehab that year and came out and stayed sober for a while, and then relapsed, and then went into an outpatient program in DC where I went 4 hours every day for from 8 to 2 or 6 hours every day. Stayed sober, and then I relapsed. And I came back, and they said, well, you have to, I admitted to them that I relapsed, and that in this instance, I also used cocaine. And they said, well, you have to take a drug test. And I said, I'm not going to take a drug test. I'm not going to put something on, it's because it's not protected by HIPAA in a rehab scenario, which is crazy, right? Yeah. Anyway, long story short, they said, you can't come back in unless you take the drug test. And I said, I'm not taking the drug test. I'm going through a divorce. It's not protected by HIPAA. It will become public. I don't want to do this to my family. I'm telling you, I used cocaine and I drank. Is that not good enough? Come back. And they said no. For whatever reason, I'm not blaming them. This is not their fault. I walked out and I knew Lincoln Park was a kind of open-air drug market. I saw a woman that was kind of famous in the area since I had been in college, literally for 20 years. I would see in the streets around, DC, in that area where I worked for a long time. And I went up to her and I said, can I get some crack?
Wow.
And I think it was basically, I said, can you help me commit suicide? I mean, I don't think, I know that now in looking back, it was the coward's way. And I really mean that. I was a coward. I didn't go and just do it. I said, let me do it this way and really, really, really drag everybody down with me along the way.
Oh, wow.
Let me figure out the way not only to kill myself, but to maybe kill my dad, really hurt my family, particularly my 3 daughters who adore me and I adore, just the fact. And I smoke crack. And the difference between crack cocaine and powder cocaine is this. And I really, truly do not want to give a roadmap for people to be able to do this, because I swear to God, it'll kill you. But it's sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, water, heat. That's it. That's all. That is the entire difference of it.
Sodium, water, and E. Ether. Right? Isn't E ether? Isn't that the E? The E?
Which allows it to be ingested through smoking. And the combination of those things makes it so that it affects your physiology much faster than it would be if you just use powder cocaine through your nose or in any other form other than intravenously. And it also allows you to ingest more faster than you could possibly ever ingest by sniffing cocaine up your nose. The combination of that, the combination of combustion, ritual, and the ritual meaning the way in which you have to, I can still feel my hands doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is, becomes this ritualistic thing with the combination of combustion, which is, and you learn, if you really study things about addiction, is these kind of key components of oral fixation and things like that. It just becomes the most ungodly addiction that you can possibly imagine, to the point where I was smoking crack. Literally, I was either looking for or smoking or recovering, not even recovering. You don't recover. You just go find more for close to a 2-year period of time.
Wow.
And it took me to places, I wrote all about it. And I got made fun of about it. And, people think that, when I wrote my book, clawing through the carpet to find crack cocaine and, Parmesan cheese and I know it's a real laugh line, but anybody that's ever been an addict like that, they don't laugh about it. It's devastating.
Right.
Think that you were that person. Mm-hmm. You can see yourself doing it.
Right.
Just devastating.
Right.
And so what happens in addiction so often is people not only, they can't admit that. They can't even admit it to themselves. They just block it out. They go, they get 30 days clean. They come out, they go back into the same exact situation that they were in before. And they think, I'm just not going to do it again. I'm just going to stay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And what will come up is that they'll wake up in the morning and they'll remember.
If you don't work in IT, keep scrolling. Okay, now that they're gone, how are we doing? How many password resets have you done today? If you're
that time in the motel with the prostitute that brought you the drugs, and that stole your wallet. Ooh. And all your drugs and everything, and you had to, you were clawing through carpet to see if there was anything there, and you smoke whatever white that you found on the ground. It's the shame. Is thinking of yourself like that, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you came from, whether your dad's the president of the United States, or it doesn't matter. And they don't admit that to themselves. They don't admit it to anyone around them. Don't ever say it. And you know what happens? They never lose it. And it sits right here, in the back of your head, and it pops up. And you just feel so disgusted with yourself that your brain immediately tells you, regardless of how far away you are from a drink or drug, I know the way not to feel this way. I know exactly how to feel this way. You're going to die if you keep feeling this way. You need to take a drink. Mm-hmm. And that's always how it starts. Alcohol is the most dangerous drug in the world. just by virtue of the amount of destruction and devastation that comes personally into the people around people that are alcoholics. And I don't find any difference between being an addict and an alcoholic. But that's where it starts, and that's where it started for me. That's my story until I met Melissa and got clean and sober, and I've been so almost 7 years now.
All right, you guys, some moments change everything. And for a woman facing an unexpected pregnancy, seeing her baby on an ultrasound and hearing that tiny heartbeat can turn fear into hope. In fact, it doubles the chance that she'll choose life. That's why Preborn exists. Through free ultrasounds, compassionate care, and real support, Preborn reaches women who feel overwhelmed and alone, giving them for a special discount. Again, that's NeemiSkincare.com, promo code Candace10 at checkout. When you're in that moment, and I guess people don't realize, like, you're going through this and you don't get to decide what your father does for a living. And I think that's probably why people separate it as well, too, because like I said, there's this idea of what a politician's family is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you obviously are, because I genuinely understand what those sorts of addictions do. I don't think people realize you're just not even yourself. Like it's like a demon, as the best way to say it. And maybe I'm taking a Catholic take on this, but like it's like a full demonic possession when you're in the throes of these drugs. And I mean, this was actually a great benefit of A&E doing intervention, because people could really see these moments where people will choose the drug over their family. They will choose the drug over their kids. They will they'll choose the drug over literally anything. And for people who, and I actually tend to agree with you that I've wondered myself if there's something genetic, because I'm not wired that way. Or maybe I just haven't found the drug that would do that to me. But like, I would say that like, I've just never been, never had something that was like, oh, I just need to have that again or want it again. And I've seen friends that they have something once and they're like,
willpower. That's called willpower.
Want to do this every second. And I go, that's very interesting. Like, it's almost like you're
Totally,
made of something different.
I'm certain of that, right? And the science is certain of that. And anyways, we all can, I think that we all can associate with, understand addiction at more or less devastating levels. So, for instance, where's your phone? I mean, you basically have a packet of heroin.
Right.
We all do in our pocket. Yeah. Constantly giving us that dopamine, which, by the way, we can get to talking about that, because I think that we are not nearly as divided as people as we think that we are. I think that bag of heroin in everybody's pocket is feeding them a lot of that division. But so we can all kind of understand the compulsion to do things that aren't that clearly aren't benefiting us, like staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning and going through your For You page on TikTok. Every mother, father can watch their teenager do that and go, God, this is awful, and I'm going to take his phone away. And then they turn back to their phone and they start going through the phone. Like, I am not any better. So we can kind of all understand that compulsion. It's when the compulsion becomes just so the blast radius continues to grow. So the difference between being addicted to your phone and being addicted to crack cocaine, I'm not saying are the same, but at least we can kind of get a little bit of an understanding of the physiology of that, of the way in which the brain actually works. But
I'm trying to see if I spelled that word right. Ooh, she got some quotes. Just give me a second. I'm trying to. Do you see how many times he said physiology? These quotes are paragraphs. Physiology has at last gained control over the nerves which stimulate the gastric glands and the pancreas. Who said that? Ivan Pavlov. I just be wanting like a simple quote though. Like, hold on. Give me a second. Let me see. Willpower isn't, Go back to quote about physiology. Hold on. We gain wisdom about anatomy and physiology and biology, and examining the person with disease. We gain wisdom about life. I don't want no paragraph. I remember being in strong physics, physiology, and biology class. I had to find the interconnection of my brain together with my physiology. I remember being in strong physics, I've never taken physics, but I have taken anatomy and physiology. It'll change your life. It'll change your life. Anatomy is to physiology as geography is to history. It describes the theater of events. Please. Who is that? Jean Farrell? Come on. I just needed a quote. A good one. And I almost forgot. It wasn't until I saw the quote that was talking about anatomy and physiology, and I was like, oh, that is physiology. That is physiology. I took anatomy and physiology. That was when I was in college trying to become a clinical lab tech. I had to. It was really chemistry too that just kind of like made me throw in the towel.
It's like the micro versus the macro. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody has the micro.
But so you can see the micro impact of it. But I think that one of the reasons that why people are so like shocked by my story, right? And by the way, and we're able to conflate. So if the New York Post every day for 6 years runs a picture on online. I mean, I think they literally at one point did like 1.5 stories of me a day for an entire 18-month period. Okay, and in each, it didn't matter what the subject was. It was a picture of me naked
With the prostitute.
with whatever, and with a crack pipe in my lips. But what, like, so I don't get mad at people when they go, like, was that your cocaine? Like, well, number one, you know the White House. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. I had 7 Secret Service agents with me at any given time, everywhere I went. The idea that I was in the Situation Room and would decide to drop off
Yeah.
I mean, that, but beyond that silliness is is I don't blame people for not realizing that I have worked my effing ass off.
Discover a spa designed to make every day
Off. I mean, in this environment, the proudest thing that I've ever done is stay clean and sober. Through all of that, every piece of it, right? Both the trials, through the accusations, through the, Alexander Smirnoffs and Gallups and Konstantin Kuliks and Leb Parnases and Rudy's and Steve Bannon's and all of that.
Not Rudy's.
Is it purely because of the love of the people around me and my willingness to own it all? I'm sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're not taking that away from me.
Right.
No, and by the way, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
The realization at one point is that you can try. I have no fear. No fear. And that doesn't, and that's why I'm here. More than anything is because I probably, I'm certain that we disagree on a lot of stuff, but there used to be a time, Candace, where you and I could sit down together and disagree about tax policy and disagree about, the Catholic Church's view on abortion, or disagree with, whatever the subject may be, and still be able to go have a meal together.
Right. I talk about that often on my show. Like I back when I was left leaning in college, my best friend was Republican conservative. Like it wasn't so at each other's throats and hating each other and wanting to destroy one another. And, you could kind of see the good and the bad and go, well, this is why I have this perspective, and perspectives could change. And that was allowed too. I think about what it was that, just revisiting what made a lot of people, including myself, so angry about you. Or I guess it wasn't really about you. It was the gaslighting. It was the letter that came from people saying it was Russian propaganda. That is what is driving us crazy about the Epstein files right now. It's what's actually leading, ironically, to the collapse of the MAGA support, is we don't want to be gaslit.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it wasn't you. That's why it was so refreshing when you were like, yes, I had a crack addiction. This is me. I did this. I was with hookers.
Yeah.
But you weren't speaking for you. And there were literally a bunch of people that were coming out and saying, this is not real.
Yeah.
And that is the most infuriating thing, because everyone's average. Everyone can connect with addiction. Everyone can have this conversation. Actually, if you would come out and I probably in that environment, obviously, maybe there would have been a different result because we were at each other's throats.
No, exactly.
But that is
I
what
get your
made
point.
people so angry.
Yeah.
It was like, nope, he never smoked crack. It wasn't real.
Yeah.
The laptop is Russian propaganda. But guys, what is this?
Yeah, by the way, is that, here's the problem, is that Steve Bannon saved, and Rudy Giuliani saved the quote-unquote laptop, which, by the way, is bullshit. Like, if we can agree on that gaslighting, I will agree on the gaslighting of this, is that there was never a quote-unquote laptop. There was a hard drive of stolen and hacked material, wherever it came from, whether it came from a Delaware repair shop or whether it came, like Lev Parnas says, from Dmitry Firtash, who was trying to sell a hard drive, Hunter Biden's, in Ukraine. That they were looking for before the laptop repair shop guy was ever the twinkle in the eye. Just go back and look at the record. Okay, so here's the thing: is you're absolutely right, and and this is like the freedom of being able to say this. It's like, yeah, they should have let me go out and talk.
Yeah.
But it was 2 weeks before the campaign, and then then the election was over. Steve Bannon, it goes on and with his buddy Gao, the Chinese billionaire that's now in prison, and that is like a Chinese spy or whatever. Where he got arrested on his boat and all that crap. There is a, go listen to it. Go listen to the recorded conversation in which they say, like, the laptop, like, we got him. We so we we collected all the salacious pictures and we put them out there. And then Rudy went out and stood on the steps of the Newcastle County Courthouse with Bernie Carrick and said, this contains child exploitation, like pure, pure bullshit, just bullshit. So on both sides, you have this reaction, which I don't think was necessarily a coordinated reaction in the sense that, what do you do in 2 weeks? And so they come up with this and they say, and I don't get to go out and say, no, I was. But you know what I did? Is that come April, I write a book and I tell everybody I was addicted to crack. And here's my story. And here's what happened. And here is all of the rooms that no one would ever want to admit to being in, that I was in. And it was like a blip on the radar, because everybody was now fighting about whether there was kind of a suppressed story on Twitter and whether there was this gaslighting from, and by the way, I am not here to defend any of
But then
those
it's
people.
part of like the political machine where they're like, we have 2 weeks to go to the election.
Yeah.
We're going to do this denial, because we can't afford this right now, essentially.
Yeah.
And then we're going to table this, make it past these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then by that time, first and foremost,
By
your
the way,
father
yeah.
won,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and so people are angry. They feel like the election's been stolen and that there was this entire collusion to cover a laptop, which if it was on the other side, they may have done too. This is what DC is. It's politics. But that is where I think the anger came from.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
I get it.
how dare you gaslight us?
Yeah.
And then people then start making you this focal point of
It never
like,
had anything to do with me.
right. It was
And,
kind of bigger than you at that point.
You know what the laptop proved?
That you were a crackhead.
There you go.
That you
By
were
the way,
deep in the throes of crack
all this
addiction.
other bullshit, bribery and all these other things that they investigated up and down during the Trump.
Wait, how old is the new hire?
I don't know, but he literally uses Excel.
Trump administration, with a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, with the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney that's the only U.S. attorney in the country to stay on and continue to prosecute me, who then became special counsel after I got a plea deal. Because I paid my taxes late, and I paid them with penalties and interest, and I owned a gun for 11 days, while they say I was addicted and check that box. That's it. Everybody has all the information. It's not like the Department of Justice has my digital footprint in every text message, every email. And there's not a single one in which you find that would in any way supports the really serious accusations of enriching himself somehow, or none of it. None of it's there. So I own whatever you want to call it. I own the laptop. Come, you know what? We can go through it together. If you're willing to avert your eyes to the tragedy of addiction. I mean, just the absolute tragedy of it.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, there is no space for that in discourse anymore. There's no space for the nuance of, well, that was addiction. That wasn't corruption. I did not do any business through entire 4 years. I became a painter. You know why I became a painter? Because it literally saved my life. I painted my whole life. And Melissa instinctively knew that I literally needed to occupy my hands in early recovery, 12 hours a day. To be able to focus on not the crushing weight of the consequences of years of addiction. And so I just sat and I painted and I painted and I painted. And I decided to have a show in the gallery and offer my paintings for sale.
Sure.
And New York Post comes out and says, Hunter Biden's selling his paintings for $500,000. I've never sold a painting nor offered a painting for $500,000 in my friggin' life. And by the way, everybody knows this because every painting that I sold, everybody that bought a painting had to pay about $250,000 to defend themselves before an impeachment hearing. Go read the transcripts of people under oath. But regardless, is the laptop absolutely proved nothing, but it became this cultural touchstone. It was like, it embodied the Biden crime family. And if you wanted to be able to believe that, not wanted to be able to believe that, if you believe that because you're being told that by people that you trust that have told you that your election was stolen, that your democracy was thwarted, that the process was unfair, is that all you had to do and I get this, is look at the pictures. It doesn't look like a good guy to me.
Right. Because
He
you
looks
weren't a
like
good
an
guy in the
awful guy.
pictures.
No.
Yeah. So it's
Smoking
not
crack in a
really-
motel room with a prostitute.
Right. Like, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, they come out and like they're saying, oh, like this, all. Like, I admit it all. Not only admit it all, I own it all. I will own everything, the worst of it, all of it.
And then being like, I mean, now in retrospect, and things have changed. I mean, times have changed. Like I said, I was one of the chief people that was really angry about it, and it did.
Yeah.
That was the exact reason why, when I re-examine it, it was the gaslighting. It's the same reason why I'm angry with Trump over the Epstein thing. It's like I can't come back from media gaslighting. The Trump thing is worse because it came from his own mouth. The gaslighting, so it wasn't like people trying to cover it up. It was like Trump being like, "What Epstein files? Are we still talking about the Epstein files?" And so, but then things kind of changed. I think with time also because I was very. Just definitely say I was close with Don Jr. Traveled a lot with him through the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. We talked about it, this corruption, can't believe they denied it, all these photos coming out. And then we get whatever this, Trump family is now. And it's like, man, I think it was a historian that wrote on X exactly how I feel, which is I wish I could go back to the days where I thought like Hunter Biden's art was the most corrupt deal that was done in politics. And now we're going, okay, we stood behind Trump, we fought, we shared the photos of Hunter Biden to the extent that we could. And now we have their family engaged in so many corrupt deals, the meme coins, the taking advantage of people. And you go, okay, well, what we actually have is DC is corrupt. Politics is corrupt. And I think it is kind of a unifying point, not to excuse, the gaslighting of people for 2 weeks, which made people super angry. But I do think it's just a different time where people are kind of going back and examining. And I feel actually terrible realizing that you were finally clean, and then it's just this humiliation ritual over and over and over again of people putting everything out there and not realizing also your kids are facing this consequence as well, which people do not think about a lot of times when they publish stories. Like I even was reticent and didn't cover the Kristi Noem thing because the first thing that came to my mind
Do they have kids?
was their kids. Like I'm like, these are kids that are about to go to college. Like, and so, and why are they doing this? Because she's in politics, right? And so this becomes, they don't think about the children. And yeah, I mean, I think now that I have kids too, I think there's just like, wow, they don't sign up for what I do for podcasting. Kids don't sign up for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, number one though, kids are way more resilient than you think. They're so much tougher, and I know my girls have like got their and they love me and deeply, and I can 100% accept that love now and return it with everything that I have to offer. But part of what you're describing is politics in memoriam, part of it, but something's changed in this. There is a meanness, a willingness to adopt very, very un-American tactics against our opponents because it become a zero-sum game. It's not just that I disagree with you, it's you need to be punished. You need to be punished for what you believe. There's this incredible show. I really want to meet them one day. I don't know if you listened to it. It's called The Necessary Conversation. Have you listened to that? Incredible. It's a brother and a sister who are progressives. One lives in LA and one lives in Austin, or something like that. And she runs a bakery. His sister and a mom and dad. And they are ultra MAGA. And I think they were in, Missouri somewhere. Okay. And I mean, don't take their caps off. Trump literally can do no wrong. He's playing 4D chess on the Epstein thing. I know he said no war in Iran, but he must have a reason for it, and you can't convince. Literally, but they have this conversation.
Why are you paying $80 for garbage internet?
This is Ryoko Pro. It's a pocket-sized Wi-Fi hotspot, about the size of a credit card stack that gives you your own private, secure.
And they have real issues with each other. The daughter gets really mad at the dad. Dad, you were a jerk to us when we were kids. You made me. But then she has this conversation with her mom, who loves animals, and taught her about empathy. And they would adopt all these animals, and they would you find out her dad taught or coached all of their little league games, and she was a softball player. And if a kid couldn't afford the uniform, dad would quietly go out and buy the uniform. And he's awful on this thing, by the way. He's and in terms of the way that he speaks and speaks to them, and he's tough, and I don't give a shit, and drop a bomb on them, kind of thing. But it's so informative. Is that before? That's a normal family. That's a thing. Before, you and I could meet at a restaurant in Georgetown, and your husband and my wife, and we could have dinner together. And like with Tucker, I knew Tucker. You know what I mean? And you could have dinner together and think that what Tucker was saying was crazy, and I don't agree with, and I don't agree with half the stuff. But you know what it didn't mean? It didn't mean that I thought that he should be tried for treason and executed. And that's what happened to me. And I mean that not figuratively. I mean it literally. That's what people were saying. And that's what people of real importance were saying. Those were the words that were coming out of the mouths. And I'm paraphrasing of people like Steve Bannon and people like Rudy Giuliani, people of authority. And it changes everything. Is how can you even have a discussion, for instance? How could I go out and talk about, how could I respond? Was that cocaine mine? Like, what do you want? You want me to take a drug test? Because I'm taking a drug test almost weekly for the Department of Corrections and probation. I have a probation officer. I'm on release until trial. But what do you do? Is that the statement that you make to the New York Post? It's impossible. It becomes impossible. So what do? You realize this, and I don't know if you feel this way in your own life, is that you know what the real problem is? It's not out there. It's not that person. If I could just get Steve Bannon to tell the truth, if I could just get Rudy Giuliani to stop lying about me, if I could just get Konstantin Kulak to say that he wrote it's not there. You realize in order to survive, it's all inside. Every single piece of it is about figuring out how to love yourself, not live in that shame. And in order for you to be able to be of service first, starts, to Melissa. Like, return the beautiful thing that she gave me, which was a chance. To be of service to my dad, to return the unconditional love, which is not love without consequences, not love without accountability. It's just knowing that no matter what, even through the consequences and being held accountable, that person still loves me.
All right, you guys, when I think about the future, I picture the little moments that matter most. Family dinners, bedtime stories, lazy Sundays at home. The people that we love are the center of everything that we're building. But there's one conversation that so many of us put off, and discount plus free shipping from our listeners today. Again, that's getnativepath.com/Candace. I think that was also what came across in your interview with Andrew Callahan, where after I watched it, I think it sort of edited my opinion about that relationship between your dad, because I think since the laptop scandal, in my mind, it was I guess a bit cartoonish, where it was like, well, you can do whatever you want. Go ahead, smoke crack. We're just powerful. We'll cover it. We'll do it. Like, that's whatever. We've had so much power. We've acquired so much power. Yeah. And then when I sort of saw you really defending your dad over this George Clooney thing, I was like, okay, this is just a normal father-son relationship. Yeah. Like, people can't apply that for some reason when you're talking about a president or somebody that has access to power, but he just loves his dad. And this is the way any normal person would defend their dad. If they said something about your father, if they said something about your son, like, this is so normal that I think that's what was a bit arresting for me. I was like, this is very normal dynamic. He doesn't care if Jake Tapper's on his side. He doesn't care if George Clooney is on his side. That's his dad that you're talking about. And he's having a natural reaction that I would have if someone was talking about my dad, my grandparents, my sister, my cousin, even when they do something wrong, by the way. Like, it's like, okay, no, but like, that's my family member who did something wrong. Your kids. And so you have no right, and I will breathe fire on someone. And that's kind of, and you're right. And now it's getting dirtier. The games people are playing are dirtier, and it is about wanting you to feel unsafe. And I think that is something that is so new when you have people posting your address, posting where you are, knowing that you have children. And I really do. And it is over perspective. Like, for me, it was me changing my mind on Israel. And suddenly I'm getting the New York Post treatment, and I'm getting all of these people coming after me, and I'm going, this is my perspective. You're welcome to try to debate me on why I feel the way I feel about, which is because I have two eyes, about what's happening in Gaza. But to do these tactics where you're trying to destroy people that feels very, very new to me.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I hate that phrase. Okay, I got it from my perspective. Is this? I know where that started, and that started when Donald Trump, from rally stages, started the "Where's Hunter?" or yell "Where's Hunter?" call and response crowds, and then they printed T-shirts, and then they made hats, and then they made mugs. "Where's Hunter?" And then they showed up my door. I didn't have any security. I didn't have anybody. I can't afford that in my life, particularly at that time. And they literally showed up at my door with bullhorns and MAGA hats, and on the direct, and the way that they got there is the New York Post published on the front page, on its cover, an aerial view of my home with the address, and then in the things, and if you stand here at this, on this part of the street, you can see, and there are floor-to-ceiling windows, and and so they showed up.
Wow.
And Melissa was 6 months pregnant at the time. She got in the car because she was alone at the time, and sped off, and they followed her, and they ran her off the road. She panicked, and then she got, and they did it again, and they surrounded her, and.
This is like a magic trick for overpackers. If you love bringing 10 outfits just in case, don't use it, because once you do, your suitcase will feel empty. Just zip the bag.
That's new, man.
That is
right.
new.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that harassment hit different in well, whenever this was, but oh my goodness. 6 months pregnant, man.
Like, similar to you, is it like before I sat down, I heard where you live, what the level of security that you have or didn't have, and what your perimeter of your property is like. How the hell do I know that? And how is that even remotely safe? Because you have people who now you basically spoke your truth and they decided that you cannot exist. And so therefore, I don't know what's going to happen, but for some reason, I think it's appropriate for me to say, tell you what Candace's address is, who lives there, and the level of security she has.
Tim Pool doing that was one of the most, it was so obvious what he was doing.
My dad said to me, I have to stop saying.
They did have to edit that one out now. We can do all them other cuss words, but we can't do the F-bomb, Hunter. Please. Look what he's saying. Look what he's finna say. Ooh, somebody just told me I need to start cussing.
The F word.
Look, we had to edit that out. Beep. We had to go back, listen, and find it.
It was like seriously, that to me was like it's a declaration of war. Like they know I homeschool my kids, they know, and he's describing the security apparatus, and he's doing it in this rant, trying to be impassioned about the fact that I don't support Israel or I don't support whatever his motivation was. There was zero reason that you would be describing the perimeter of my house outside of wanting someone to get harmed. And like, first of all, like I'm not like Tucker Carlson, and I say this to people all the time. That's why I get so worried, because when Tucker gets accosted in public, he just has this like total happy warrior demeanor. I will claw someone's eyes out for my kids. Like I am not the property to try. We will shoot you. Like I will shoot you and I will kill you and I will happily go to prison. But before you have one opportunity to even make me, I'm not even going to think about whether you're going to hurt my kids.
You sound exactly like
that's
Melissa.
And that's me. That's just me. And I've said it over and over on my podcast. I will smile in my mugshot, okay, because I did the right thing and I have no qualms about that. So when he did that, I was like, okay, this little beanie boy. Okay, little beanie boy. I see exactly what you're doing. The whole world sees what you're doing, and you are doing something because you want my children to get harmed. And then if something happens to them, you're going to go, well, I don't know how that happened. As I was describing the perimeter of her home and talking about what her security is, which was inaccurate.
Candace, but that's like, what are we even talking about? That's exactly why they do it. Is that even if the chance is this small, the reason that they do it is exactly that, is to make you really afraid, not for yourself.
Who did that? I'm lost. It be stuff going on over there on X that I be like out of the loop, and so I'm so confused as to who did that. Like who posted all her information, all her home perimeter and security details and all that. They're obsessed.
For your 4 kids, for your family, for the people that work around you. It's like and by the way, I'll tell you, is that I have the same approach that I think Tucker has to it, which is, and I don't know, which is basically like, I can handle, like, I can diffuse a situation, I can do it. Melissa, people kill you.
Yeah, I'll kill you, and I'll ask questions later.
And she did exactly the same. And you know what really worries me? Is all of a sudden, we're all talking about violence.
Exactly.
Like, you're talking about violence. Violence is defense, but now you're talking about the violence.
Right.
And then they kind of like go, oh, you're gaslighting us. This is bullshit. You're fine. You're really rich and you this and that. You can take care of yourself. It's like bullshit.
Right.
Did you see what just happened to my best friend?
Yeah. Like, I mean, we
Like,
just
what
watched
Don't talk about Charlie Kirk.
you talking
Charlie
about?
and he had a full security apparatus.
Yeah.
We still don't know what happened to Charlie Kirk. There's zero interest. That's another thing that just completely, for me, was like done with Trump whatsoever. Like, I mean, there's just no way for someone who came from the inside and watched the work that Charlie did to get these people elected. Don Jr. was like a brother to Charlie, literally like a brother to him.
Yeah.
And to see the Trump brothers, to see Donald Trump himself, Kash Patel, who Charlie pushed for him to lead the FBI, had him on his podcast, JD Vance, like, came out of nowhere. Charlie was like not sleeping to make that happen. And to see all of these people have zero interest in the obvious holes in the story, even if ultimately the holes get filled and there's a picture that makes sense, which I put that at 0% chance. But let's just, the fact that they have zero interest and they're just accepting the narrative, like what this has done to me, and I've said this, I'm just done with politics. I'm just done with politics because I can't even begin to comprehend it. And again, that element of gaslighting that's happening here, where they're pretending that the people who are noticing that none of this is making sense are the crazy ones, and everyone else who's like, no, turn the chapter a week later, it's all solved, and this is how it went down, and none of it makes sense, but just accept this slop. It is the most infuriating thing, and it's just fully removed the scales in my eyes, and I've stopped with this left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. I'm like, this is sheer evil versus good.
By the way,
this is like sheer evil.
But by the way, for real, exactly.
Like, I'm
exactly.
Like,
it is
Look at these two.
good versus evil.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They have torn the mask off of this. I said to you before, is that I pray to God that by the end of this, that you think of me as a friend, because if anything ever happened to me, I want you and Melissa team up. Like, oh my God.
It's not happening
And
with Charlie Kirk.
And the criticism of you for asking the questions for someone who was like a brother to you, it's like, what the F are you talking about?
Yeah. That's
What
the
are you talking
gaslighting.
about?
It's
And by
like,
the
how
way,
dare you
you're
care?
coming from someone who you've attacked and you've politically, you've had all of your criticism, which I have no problem with, and we disagree on so many things. But I listen to you and I go, right on. Like Epstein, like you want to figure out why they don't want to let the release all the Epstein files?
Right.
All you got to do is literally look at a picture of Trump standing on his stage at his inauguration and look behind him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every single person.
Ooh.
He's protecting his donors without question.
I mean, it's crazy. Like Paolo Zampoli and this and
Ooh. Now he said, look behind him and look at everybody front and center. Ooh. Hunter.
the other thing and all of these things is like, okay. And by the way, I
probably shouldn't say this, but I used to charge people over
I sped it
$1,000
up because of Hunter.
to
You
fix.
know, he think fast, but he talks slow, and so that's where he had that 5-second delay. That
Exact kind of scratch.
I'll probably end up finish watching Sean Ryan and Joe over the weekend. I have to put them in my ear, and I have to go. I be having to do something. I be washing the dishes, doing laundry. You know what I mean? Cleaning up, doing something. I can't. I think I only got like 45 minutes in.
anyway, my point is that, it's like, when are people going to kind of wake up
Sped up.
to the fact, and it's not left or right.
What I gotta
This is a
say?
really, really
1.25.
horrible group of
And that's
people
nothing.
that are pulling strings
He talking normal.
that impact us all, and they make us think
Look.
that because you and I disagree on
sound
the graduated tax rate or some social issue, is that we are sworn enemies. Not just like sworn enemies, that I deserve violence.
And I could see them,
Right.
and it does seem like both sides have woken up without question. My audience is now split, and I still say what I believe. I haven't changed my position on abortion. I'm Catholic. I have, there's nothing that has changed. I think they're just hearing me for the first time, and I do think there was something about the Charlie Kirk assassination that everyone just sort of looked up. We just sort of all looked up at the machine and was like, wait a second, what is this? Because they expected Trump to be ride or die. They expected cash. I mean, wow, this is going to be solved in the clearest way possible, because the entire political apparatus that has the power in the Department of Justice is in the hands of Charlie Kirk's friends. Like, that was how I felt, right? This is it. No, whoever did this is never going to get away with it, because these are Charlie's friends. And
Not
what did we
just
get?
friends, they're the people that Charlie Kirk made.
Charlie Kirk made these people. That's exactly right. He led a youth revolution to get these people elected in power. He was ride or die to
The level of disloyalty or fear, I don't know what it is,
disloyalty.
is
Disloyalty may be guided by fear, but it's
so
still disloyalty.
disturbing.
It's disturbing. And I cannot forgive Trump, the Trump family, what they have done or what they have not done for Charlie.
Can I keep one of these?
Yeah.
Conspiracy?
Yeah. And I'm
Love
full
it.
on. I'm like, call me a conspiracy. I'm like you, where I'm like, what is the shame tactic of the day? You're calling me a conspiracy theorist. Great. I'm like, you'd be a fool to believe the stuff that they're telling us today. The stories are telling us. I mean, it is something that is just so disturbing. And I think that the Charlie assassination has just so crazy, like, because he was so Republican conservative, but I think it's brought people together in a productive way.
Yeah. Look, I'm here, and you're here, and I really think that we're not unique. I think very, very kind of emblematic is that, like, let's put the past, not behind us. Like, I'll explain anything you want. I'll talk about anything that you want to talk about that you still have questions about, or that anybody is it. But like, this isn't right.
Ooh.
This what we're witnessing right now
Ooh.
is not right.
Ooh.
The level of corruption, the obfuscation, I mean, whether it's Butler or Charlie or
Butler makes no sense.
these things that it's just not right. And I mean, it's so glaringly not right. It's almost as if they're just saying,
F
like,
you.
F you.
They're not even
I don't
trying.
care.
We don't
You
even
know
get
what?
good psyops anymore. And that's what I keep saying. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
so disrespectful that we're not even getting good psyops anymore. Like, we're supposed to believe he survived four assassination attempts, the first president that's ever survived 4 assassination attempts.
Yeah.
They lie to us about things, they make a big deal, and then they make it want to, it's going to go away. They're going to keep pretending and telling us that this is a totally normal grieving widow. Okay. No one's buying that. Like, that something's just not right here. Everyone can see that. This is not how you would react to your husband being shot. And this sort of just, I'm fine. And I like 2 weeks later, I fully accept the narrative. I have no interest in anything else. It's over. Let's close it. I forgive him. Let's move on. you're asking us to abandon our common sense and our humanity is what you're asking us to do. And that kind of seems like where we're at. Like they're insisting on this. And I'm going, where is this going to go? Because we're not doing the thing they want us to do. Like they are just constantly giving us slop all the time. I mean, even the recent White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was so much theater to it after, so much theater. And now it's kind of, okay, Secret Service maybe shot each other and we're just going to kind of quietly move on. But Trump needs a ballroom. Like that's a normal reaction. Hey, there's a shooting duck. Hey, well, we better get that ballroom.
And by the way, it's going to cost $1 billion now. And by the way, it's not from donors. And by the way, we're going to do it. Like, it's just the constant, like, talk about gaslighting.
This has been just this, and we're not even, are we even a year into Trump's second term?
We're a little over a year.
A little over a year in second term. And I don't think there's just been, I'm like, how are we going to deal with 4 years of just being gaslit every 5 seconds and told that, but MAGA, literally MAGA, is not MAGA anymore. And what was actually never Trump, which was actually pro-Hillary Clinton, if you think about it, that's now MAGA. It's literally people who have been against Trump the entire time who are lecturing us about this stuff, like the Mark Levins and the Ben Shapiros, and like, we're MAGA, and the Laura Loomers, like, we're MAGA now. Okay, great, then I'm not MAGA. Like, I've never agreed with these people. I am opposed to these people's ideas. I am opposed to unleashing an actual lunatic who has had to be Baker acted and put on Psych 5150 holds by her own parents who fear her. I'm opposed to that actually being unleashed upon the population.
Melissa always uses that 5150. I had that. She goes, that person's going to get 5150. Like, what are you talking about? What's 5150?
It's like, you're telling us this is MAGA now. Like, this is what we do. And so it's been a challenging time because you do have to have like the humility to admit that I'm quite embarrassed about it.
The president of the United.
If you've ever stacked 3 pillows just to sit up in bed, you need to see this.
Wow.
Over 20,000 homes across the U.S. are already using these.
Wow.
Will you be next? Regular pillows aren't built
I'm a
for...
sucker for a pillow. Oh my goodness. Look at her. She got a little for your phone. Oh my goodness. And she got all these colors. And she cut. The most I've paid for a pillow is $40. $39.99. That's the most I've paid for a pillow. That was with Home Depot. And it was square. I still have it and it is amazing. But $149 is crazy. That's crazy. Not really, but it kind of is. She got Apple Pay, she got PayPal, and then of course all the Visas, American Express, MasterCard, and of course Visa. And that's just for one, but you do save some if you get 2. And then she has like different sizes. So that's a small, medium, $179. And then of course we got the large, $240. God. This could replace like 3-4 pillows of mine. You know I'm a sucker for a pillow now. She got her little throws over there. This is a nice little bed. I like that. I like the whole little setup. A little nightstand. She got her little flowers right there. She got her little indoor window panes. Okay, floor, rug. Ooh. Somebody set this up real nice with the little ferns on the side. Somebody set this up real nice for them pillows.
Up.
That commercial.
They slip.
Ooh. See how they see? Look. Ooh, drapes.
And they leave
rustic
your back aching. This is the luxury wedge pillow.
You want to call it? Ooh, that.
It's not
called, that wall
headboard.
What is that called? Look how they got the pillows lined up over there like that. Is that the same room that we was in the first time?
Just another pillow.
The bed is different. Oh, look at the drapes. The green decor. Okay, iPhone 17. We nosy. We nosy. I like that little headboard type ish. That little wood. What's that wood called when it's pre-washed? It's something with a pre. Not- it's
Upgrade.
something.
You
It's
did
a word for it.
know you
like,
needed.
whatever.
It supports your back
Anyway,
and neck
it's nice.
perfectly, keeps you
Come on, she ain't
upright,
drinking shit.
and makes any bed.
Oh, we got a chair. We got a chair on the side with the throw. Okay, blanket. Okay. Ma'am, you right, because you can't sleep on it. It's really just for like back support against the headboard. You're right. Because I was like, you ain't even using it. Technically, she could if she lean it that way. If she lean the top part that way. It'd be great for like a shoulder. Let me let it
Feel
finish.
like a cozy lounge.
Ooh, them pillows that have. Oh, we got coasters. We had a coaster over there. Uh-oh, look like we got a dresser. Uh-oh, we got some company. Oh, okay. The headboard has just changed, and now we got like a little spot up here. Oh, we got some random stuff going on over here in the corner. These little panels. Whatever these called. They look like studs, but they not. We know. Okay, drapes. Okay, window. Okay, I like the little green, the greenery, the plants. They might be fake plants. She look real, but everybody else look like they just, dry plants. Move this out the way. I can't even see. We got like a little duvet. We got some little blankets and stuff. He got a book. She got a drink. And then we got the pillows right here. We got 2 lamps. Wait. Nope, 1 lamp. And then, okay. And then she got a mug right here. And then I think these might be coasters. I don't know. I can't. And then we got nightstand, dresser, the chair, the rug. Ooh. Half on, half off. We got like a little basket over there with they decorated this thing nice. There go the other lamp right there. There go the other lamp. I don't know what that is. Is that a little clock or something? And then we got like some little books and stuff over here. Oh, it's giving.
People don't even know this.
It's giving. I spent some money on this commercial.
This.
With these $250 pillows for the large.
But once you see it in action.
Different room. Okay, potted plants. Who is that over there? Little cubby. Is that a quote? A picture? Okay, so now the background is white. The I don't know what those are called. Like it's the walls. The wall texture. Whatever it is. Okay, we got a rug. Okay, the floor looks different. We got potted plants. Okay, the gray. Blue, turquoise, fuchsia, mustard yellow. We still got the same throw blankets. Are y'all washing these blankets? Because there's been a lot of people using them.
The United States of America has posted images of himself as a king, I think, half a dozen
And
times.
Jesus. He not only posted himself as the king, he did post himself as Jesus too.
Now, like, when are people going to wake up and go, okay, like, if that's what you want, and by the way, if that's what you want, then you know what? I know that there is a vast majority of Americans, but some that are really going to really have a problem.
Yeah.
Really have a problem.
I am
and
MAGA.
God forbid. And this whole thing is that we all need allies now because they do have an enormous amount of power. One of the things that I always think about is that it's so easy to silence people, but it would be particularly easy, for instance, to go like if someone like the whole cocaine in the White House thing.
Right.
By the way, I look at your enemies. Is it like you can believe whatever you want to believe, but I know my truth, and that's all I can do.
And you prefer crack anyways.
100%. And I would not.
Just
And by the way,
overwhelming, you
I would
prefer
not
crack.
have. I would not have forgotten it in a cubby.
Not if you're crawling on
to
the
go
floor.
into the Situation Room, which I've never been in before. Okay, exactly. I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyway, but my point is that what if they, what if I'm flying back to LA and and I go through security and they find drugs in my bag?
Right.
Who would believe me
Oh.
that I'm so clean and sober? Who would possibly believe me?
Right.
No one.
No one. No one. And I could take drug tests and I could prove it and I could, I mean, literally, I pack my bag in front of a witness everywhere I go so that at least I would be able to say that. Here's the crazy part, is the idea that I would think that there is a government in power capable of doing that. Says everything anyone needs to know about where we are.
Yeah.
The idea that you feel unsafe in the United States of America because you disagree with the current administration on a issue that 70% of Americans agree with you on. Like,
If you're tired of constantly switching glasses, you have to try this.
Throw away your outdated reading glasses and expensive progressive lenses. One pair is all you need. These smart autofocus glasses from the American Optics Hub of Rochester capture your visual needs in real time, completely without an eye exam.
I think we all can agree is that we need to stop the wholesale murder of a population in Gaza. Whatever you think about my father's policy as it relates, I always say to people, one thing he didn't do? He didn't greenlight to turn Gaza into a Trump golf course. With the maitre d' being Jared Kushner with $4 billion in Saudi money.
It's despicable.
Despicable.
It's just like they did the deal before. I mean, when he posted that, I'll never forget that. Posted the Trump, like, here's what Gaza could be, and like I could have anyone in a building, and I was like,
but literally, that's what they're doing.
This is dead.
Like, oh, look, y'all, what we finna get ready to do over here. We like, wait a minute, what the hell?
Like, you're literally saying this is all going to be fine because we're going to get up a Trump resort or something.
Right.
Positively despicable. I mean, just positively despicable, tasteless, indefensible. And
it's not a
yes,
joke, though.
and Jerry, it wasn't a joke, and that is the deal.
And that's what they're doing. Literally doing. And by the way, they're doing it out in the open. I mean, it's not as if they're hiding it in any way. I mean, they are making deals as they go through. Like I always say to people, it's like, you had such a problem with me. I didn't do any
I'll
business.
take the paintings.
I didn't do a single business. Every single person that bought a painting from me during the time my dad was there in office. I had 2 shows and probably sold a total of 20 paintings, and 13 of them to my best friend. And that's it. That's it. And you had a problem, not you. Well, you too had a problem with me as being this emblem of corruption.
Right.
These guys, okay.
Right.
Don Jr. got the single largest loan guarantee from the Department of Defense ever handed out of over $600 million for an energy company, a fusion energy company, of which he has zero experience in. They have gotten Jared Kushner, who's never run a private equity fund, has now a $4 billion private equity fund with 80% of the money coming from the Middle East, of which he continues to raise as he is the ambassador at large on behalf of the Trump administration, not as a political appointee, but simply as a son-in-law of the president, to come to a peace deal of a war in Iran that they started that has cost the economy billions and billions of dollars for a war nobody wanted. That every president before him, was pressured by the Israelis to get into. And every single one, regardless of what you think of them, from Jimmy Carter, through President Reagan, through both of the Bushes, through Clinton, through my dad, said, you're out of your damn minds. And here's the reason why. This is what's going to happen. So who benefits right now? You know who benefits? The people that are making trades of billions of dollars on market manipulation that occur. And it's literally out in the open. But who's gonna you
will not get a disagreement out of me. Like, I am so far off the Trump train. He's
no, by the way, and I'm not even saying it.
It's embarrassing. But it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing because we got behind him as the answer to corruption. We thought he was going to be this outsider. He's going to go to D.C. He's going to drain the swamp, and then he became a Loch Ness monster. And so it's like, I don't know what it is about that swamp, but you get swimming in it, and it's like people do this. And yes, it has been for Israel. Not to say that Trump wasn't pro-Israel. Most presidents actually are pro-Israel when they go in there, and if they go anti-Israel, they kind of end up dead. But it's or they sort of get kicked out. When I talk about Nixon and the scandal of Watergate, which I revisited and did think that had a lot more to do with his shifting viewpoints, but. That wasn't the issue. Like, I was pro-Israel, generally speaking, not very educated about the topic. It's this level of corruption that you're talking about when you are willing to let real Americans be harmed, their day-to-day lives be harmed. They're suffering at the gas pump. Their groceries are expensive. All at so that you could further enrich. How much more money does the Trump family need? I just literally, how much more money do you need that you're going to allow this to happen? Don't you just want to have now the legacy of being a good president? I mean, this is...
Yeah, I have to say to you about the cryptocurrency thing. I think there's incredible promise in cryptocurrency. I believe in the, meme token. I'll do something one day to create a community, and there's really good reasons to do it. There's really interesting ways, and I know people disagree. I just happen to be kind of like a
Crypto guy.
I mean, just because of my understanding. I think it's incredible freedom in a world in which we've been controlled by banks. So if you have the same problem that I have with big pharma banks and the Fed and these like where does money come from kind of thing, is it like I truly believe in what Satoshi, kind of the manifesto of Bitcoin. But that's just me, regardless.
Wow.
My point is that they had such an opportunity. They had such an opportunity. I'll give you this. I want you to look at the conspiracy theories. Go look up Gal Luft and Alexander Smirnov. They're the two principal individuals that made the only claim that people hung their hat in Congress and elsewhere as it relates to my dad and corruption, bribery and stuff like that. One of them is a fugitive from justice wanted by Interpol and the United States government, Gal Luft, who is a former IDF officer who is believed to be living in Israel as a fugitive, which the Israelis will not help us locate. And the other one is Alexander Smirnov, who is a known Israeli intelligence agent. Those are the two people who was in a prison in the United States, so serving 6 years, and they can't find him. Bureau of Prison can't find him in his prison, in the prison. He is on furlough, but no one knows where he's been furloughed to. The only passport that he has is an Israeli passport. There are forces that I used to say, oh, this is bullshit. Have you ever read The Devil's Chessboard?
Yes, Alan Dulles, looking into the CIA. I read this book, Chaos, that then led me to The Devil's Chessboard. It's actually on our list for books to read for the book club.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll knock you.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me. David Talbot. Not CIA.gov. That's funny. .3 is not bad. The World Fact Book. Is this the book? Oh no, this is the. Okay, this is just a review. Let me go back. I was trying to see if Thrift Books had it. I'm pretty sure she do. Hold on. Let me go to Thrift Books real quick. Let's see. I can log in and add it to my hold on, give me a second because I gotta log in information. Uppercase. You. She got it.
CIA, the Manson stuff, that was the one that knocked me, and I was like, what the heck is our government?
Okay,
what is going on?
Chessboard, and you realize that anyway.
What the CIA is capable of, and you think it's all a conspiracy, and I think that's what they're fearful of, is that people have awakened to that. And so when they're kind of trying to throw red meat now, what you see them doing, the left, the right, it's just not landing the same anymore, because we just realize that there is a devil's chessboard.
That's why in terms of the left, like, you think I'm going to defend the DC elite of the left? They crushed my dad. They when they saw their chance, they did everything in their power to push him out. You know why? Because he was never part of that club. He was never part of the Epstein class. He lived in Delaware. Everybody that you can think whatever you want about my dad is that literally my dad never bought a stock or a bond because he made a commitment in 1972 when he was 30 years old after Watergate never to own a stock or a bond.
What actually makes a tool rollout succeed? Most companies think a rollout is just turning on a new system and sending out a training deck, but that's not how it works.
And he did. My dad was the poorest person ever to enter the presidency, and the poorest person, not poorest, I mean, he had money, he'd written a book, and he'd done well, but he had the least amount of wealth entering the presidency in modern years and since 1900 than anybody. And when he was in the United States Senate, he was not only the poorest man in the Senate, not poor again, he made over $170,000 in average over the course of 45 years, but not just the Senate, but 535 members of Congress. He was never a part of that club. And that's what I wish, like, you knew. That's what I wish they knew. And I am not here in any way to defend, the DC elites of my own party. I think that they're just as complicit in all this bullshit.
No, without question, like the Nancy Pelosi's. What's your opinion on Kamala then?
Kamala.
Did you like her?
Look,
like you
Her
didn't.
name is Kamala.
Definitely.
No,
didn't.
you know what? I did. And I don't want to say anything. I didn't know the vice president that well.
Okay.
I mean, and she was always nice to me personally. And so that was my, but I didn't have, the other thing that people think that I was like living at the White House. I literally didn't leave my home because it was really hard to leave. I stayed, in the hill that I lived on until the fires came. That's where I was. I was with Bo and Melissa and trying to make it through. And not trying to make it through, thriving, making it through what would otherwise have seemed like a horrible, horrible life from any outsider's perspective. So I'm not dodging the question, but I don't want to shit on the vice president because I have no reason to necessarily.
No, she did nothing personal to you. She was nice to you.
Never did anything personal to me.
Yeah.
I think that she is, so.
Kind of
I really don't know.
machine stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, in terms of all of that stuff, I'm, I think I'm tough enough to realize that, that's part of, like, when you get to politics at that level, people kind of, I think, have this misperception of me is that for 50 years I was a crack addict and I was that picture. I mean, I went to Yale Law School. I served in the Clinton administration. I was chairman of the board of UN World Food Program, which is the largest humanitarian organization in the world. I served on 16 boards before I ever joined the board of Burisma or anything. I taught at Georgetown taught at the master's program at the School of Food Service for 4 years.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. And
that was something that surprised me too, not to be rude, but I thought you were dumb.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, maybe because Meghan McCain was on The View for too long or something, and I was like, here we go, just like rich political kids. Like, I mean, she's just so dumb.
Yeah.
And yet she's just always here, like they're just giving her stuff. And so I think there's also that perception where it's
By the way,
rich kids don't work, aren't smart.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of expecting you to be sort of a Meghan McCain.
Yeah.
And then when I watched it, I was like, oh wait, he actually has brain cells, which is, by the way, remarkable that you didn't kill them all off when you were on crack.
Yeah, I told you before. I think they got pickled all the vodka.
Or something like that. So I was like, this is interesting. He's not a total idiot.
Yeah.
So there are the stereotypes of rich kids who just keep getting handed all of these awards in life.
I say to everybody is that if there's ever anybody in the history of America that benefits from low expectations, it's me. Is that people are like, oh my God, like you're
not
a
dumb.
complete moron. You haven't pulled out your crack pipe yet, which is really crazy. But that gives you an idea, by the way, of the level to which I was muted. Because they didn't want, and you have to subvert yourself to a machine to a certain degree, and like it wasn't up to me if I wanted to go out and like rail at the machine or rail at go on and argue with Jake Tapper,
because it would harm your dad.
Yeah, because then I become even more of the story. But you give up your voice in that way, and it's incredibly emasculating, and particularly when the portrait that is being painted of you as a ne'er-do-well that never did anything in their life. Like you want to talk about experience? Go look at my goddamn resume. I have 10 times more experience in 10 times more things. And I know I am 10 times more well-read than either one of the Trump boys, regardless of what you think about them. You know what I can't do? Is that I'm not a great shot. And I don't know anything about real estate. And I don't know anything about making money. And that's why I'm about, a few $1 million in debt. And I don't. I need to change that one around in some way at the age of 56. But the portrait that was painted on me has given me this incredible gift, so that I can walk into your house, into your studio, and I guarantee you that people afterwards are going to go, I still think he's oh my God, he's not, you know what? Like, can you believe it? He didn't go do lines in the bathroom.
No, that was my reaction when I watched Andrew Cullen, and I was like, wow, he's actually thought through his addiction. He's talking about the ritual. Like, this guy's not an idiot. And you're right. I guess you do benefit from having exceedingly low expectations.
Exactly.
But it was sort of like you said the first time you spoke, and of course you did sort of have to be quiet because otherwise you would have definitely hurt your father. And there's a machine that's kind of bigger than you that you have to submit yourself
the rage
to.
was there. You could tell that I even went back. My dad just said, "Honey, that was really beautiful parts of it. Did you have to use the F word that much?" It's like, coming from you. Which the thing about my dad though is he at least from the different generation, he never talked to us that way ever. Like even around my mom, or But anyway, so I'm trying to curb the F word for my mom and dad.
All right, you guys, summertime expenses in 2026 are stacking up faster than ever, leaving Americans feeling like the only option is swiping their credit cards. This keeps you trapped in a cycle of high-interest debt. American Financing has a way out. This is not about shortcuts. It's a real strategic plan to reset your finances and reclaim your budget. At American Financing, they specialize in building plans tailored specifically for your goals. They look at your current debt and show you exactly how your home's equity can work smarter for you. So imagine rolling that high-interest debt into one simple, manageable monthly payment. There are no upfront fees and zero pressure, just honest advice from salary-based consultants. On average, their customers are saving $800 a month. That is real breathing room. So start today, and you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. Call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. Again, that's AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. American Financing, America's home for home loans. How old are you?
God, what he said, it was so funny.
By the way, when you
said her or something like that.
When your mother died in a car accident?
Just about 3. I was a month away from 3. Bo was a month away from 4. My sister, Gaspy, was about 18 months. And who my oldest daughter's named after, Naomi. And yeah.
Do you have any memory of her?
Yeah, it's I don't know for certain whether the things that I have, which I believe are memories, are memory, because it would be very rare at that age. I have distinct memories of my mom carrying us around in picnic basket, and I even have a distinct memory of the car, not the accident, but of the car.
This is the award-winning 45-liter garment roller from Half Day. It's a versatile 2-in-1 with a built-in garment bag that zips away when not in use. Its spacious interior fits 5+ days worth of clothes for long weekends, business trips, and weddings.
But I don't know if it's because I've been, steeped in stories. The beautiful part, like everything, have you ever read any of the Gnostic Gospels?
No.
You really should, because I know you're, I've listened to you talk about your Catholicism and your faith, and
I'm like a toddler in the faith, and there's so much. It's like so rich.
So it's really cool. There's one of the things that I've always been a student of, because when I first went to Georgetown, the 2 closest people after I got to Georgetown were 2 Jesuit priests. One was named Ted Disiak, another one was Bill Watson. And both Father Watson and Father Disiak led me into this idea of service. I started a thing called the Jesuit International Volunteers with Father Watson. Father Disiak, and then I went to the JBC because of Father Watson, which is like domestic Peace Corps, and I did that for a year. And then when I opened up my own law firm, all my clients were Jesuit universities, because I was friends with presidents of universities that were just like 5 or 6 years older than me. They were now becoming presidents of St. Joe's and Granton and Loyola and all these Jesuit universities, Detroit Mercy, and but anyway, the Gnostic Gospels. The Gnostic Gospels were they were found in Nag Hammadi, and they were written in the period between Christ's death and the first 2 centuries. And there's the Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Philip, and Constantine. This is boring.
No, I'm very interested in this.
Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity.
Yep, the end.
But what he did, and really what it was about, was not a true transformation of faith. It was a way to consolidate power. So he made the Christian bishops, who were 200 years into the very, very early church. He made the Christian bishops his lieutenants and enforcers as it related to the religion, so that he can control the more radical elements of it. And so that is when they came to an adoption of just 4 gospels. And because there's all of these other writings that became that you could get excommunicated for promoting. That is really beautiful portraits, like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and Jesus's relationship with Mary Magdalene. But anyway, it's not a gospel, but it is one of the texts. I think it's called the Acts of John. There is a thing that Christ says, and he says, I'm paraphrasing, you must learn to suffer as I do in order to be able not to suffer. And that is the greatest lesson of everything, is not having gratitude for all the good things in my life, for having immense gratitude for all of my life. Like, I wouldn't be here. We couldn't have this honest conversation. I couldn't get to know you as a human being if every single thing didn't occur behind it. I would not feel this gift of being alive on a daily basis the way that I do if I hadn't overcome committing suicide dozens of times in motel rooms, in places that I could never afford to be found dead. You know, and it's that piece of life that, like, the only way I got it is when they just tore off all my clothes, tarred and feathered me, and put me in the center of town and said, look at him. And I survived. When you survive that, you kind of go, what am I going to do with my life? Well, the number one thing I want to do with my life is, number one, take care of me.
Yeah.
You take care of me.
I feel like I have to say, like, I'm really sorry that I contributed to that. Like, I just feel really shitty. Like, I feel guilty because, like, hearing you talk about, I mean, basically having the worst moments of your life. Like, I always speak about on my show how a lot of these kids growing up aren't going to even know what it was like before social media, where you could just make a mistake and, like, have that be over, and you got to grow up. And now it's like they're digging and they're finding people's tweets from when they're 17. They're an idiot. They wrote the N-word once and they, like, want to hang them when they're 40. And I just saw you as a caricature, and it was definitely, like I said, like, feeling gaslit by the political machine, convinced that it was just the left that partook in this political machine. And I just, like, really want to say, like, genuinely, like, I'm so sorry that I just didn't even consider he's a crackhead. And, like, you know, like, that's actually a very relatable thing, and he shouldn't be, you know, like, to have that is just unbelievable to consider every worst thing you've ever done.
I am, like I told you before we started, I cry very easily.
But I just feel like it's not who I want to be. And I think I've come a long way from that in general. And, like, but I did partake in just the inhumanity of just, look at this guy at the worst moment of his life, like, with prostitutes, he's on crack, he's on drugs, and we should make fun of him because it makes us feel good, or it makes us feel like we're somehow beating the machine. And that it was, I think, a really warped viewpoint. And hearing you speak about it today, I'm just like, wow, it is so gross that I particularly.
You have so much, and I mean this in a good way, so much power, because I think that your audience absolutely trust you. And the reason that they trust you is because you've shown an enormous amount of courage of speaking your mind, particularly as it related to someone that you love like a brother. And everything that has transpired since then, which is a immediate rejection of power and an immediate rejection of, and knowing that you were just going to get the shit beat out of you. And for you to say that to me, I truly mean it. Just from a purely selfish point of view, it means the world. And
no one
and that it was, I truly didn't come here for that. I came here because, you know what? I ask forgiveness every day, without any expectation that I will be forgiven. But I know the people that I hurt, and, you know, and I still do, and I'm not even remotely perfect, and I still screw up.
It's at this moment. Listen, it's at this moment. Did I not say that he needs to be over there on Soft White Underbelly earlier in this interview? It's at this moment when Mark, you don't see him. You just see a hand come from behind, just like this. If you've ever watched a Soft White Underbelly video, child, Mark be so certified with that tissue. That's the first thing that popped into my head. I'm like, somebody finna come. Mark finna come with that tissue. Here you go.
You know, and, but God, if we could have this conversation and genuinely, authentically believe that, like, I think just opens the door for and a few other people without being, with all humility, like maybe, maybe a few other people.
Yeah.
And there is a freedom in it too. Like there's a freedom that your worst moments of just like, there's nothing else.
What are you gonna say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just made a
They
$27
going crazy with
ebook
the commercials
in
like
2
they
minutes
last
using
10
AI.
minutes.
Watch how I did it, so you
The
can do
interview.
it too. Here,
They running it up.
You got me butt naked up with the crack pipe. So I mean, I survived it, and so you have it, and it allows you to kind of return to who you are because it's addiction is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish it. I always say people growing up and seeing what it's done to families and seeing a lot of stuff when I was younger really made me again. I'm like, wow, I can't even imagine.
Imagine if you could talk about it. Imagine if you could have openly talked about it, and the person that you were confronting or doing it is were able to say like this is we got to do something about this. Come on, everybody, let's do something about it. I want to start an aftercare program for people for free because the biggest thing that happens is people go to detox and they go to recovery center or rehab and they get out after 30 days and they got nowhere to go. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do is start a free aftercare program. And there's a couple. There's one in Kentucky that is a really beautiful model. But if I could do that, I work with an organization called Boston Universal. I'm the development director there, and they do tenants' rights and homeless prevention. I know what we all can agree on. Right. We can all agree on that. That people can't afford to pay the rent and need to be able to figure out a way to stay in their houses before it becomes a mother with 3 kids that are homeless. We know where that leads. Right. But these kinds of things is what I want to use. What I'm doing. I want to do that. I also want to make a living. I also want to be able to pay my debt. I also want to be able to do the things that I have. I also still want to make art. I started. Finally, what? I'm going to put all my art on my website, and people can come look at it. If they want to buy it, they can buy it. And because I don't really believe art becomes art until you share it with somebody. Until there's an observer of it. I can, I can sit in my studio, which is my garage.
Garage, yes, but we've seen it.
I want to do all of those things, and I want to be able to do it, and I want to be able to talk to you. Oh. You know what I mean? I want to be able to talk to the people. I want to talk to that family, necessary conversation. And say to the mom, the stories your daughter tells you about the way that you adopted animals, it really moves me. The fact that you think I'm the spawn of the devil. We maybe have a discussion about it, right?
Yeah, it's a caricature, and I have a caricature of me that's been built up for years. So I should have been more empathetic to it, honestly. But it's when you're in it, you kind of don't really know that you're in it. I think.
Well, not only in it is that you're in it to win it, and when everything is put in a political lens and life or death, and if we lose this election, this is over. And these, now I will tell you this is that we've never had somebody that is, opposed staying longer than they're supposed to. But regardless, is that I think that we all have a tendency to look at the time that we live in and say that it's worse than ever, absolutely worse. And the fact of the matter is if you know your history, is that this is a cycle. There will always be really bad people. We will always be disappointed in the end with leadership. We will always have corruption. It doesn't mean that we need to accept it. It doesn't mean that we don't need to fight against it. It doesn't mean that sometimes really good people make the wrong choice. But what it does mean is that I have absolute hope. I really, truly still believe in America, even with all of all of its faults. I mean, even after reading The Devil's Chessboard, you read that and you go
what is
and
this?
That's not about Democrats and that's not about Republicans. Right. And if you go back and you go back to Reconstruction, you go back to Andrew Johnson, and you go back to the fact that the United States of America has not been truly the United States of America until 1964 at best. And this whole thing, but I still really believe in the illusion. And the thing that makes me so mad is they have completely torn away that illusion, and people feel hopeless. They feel like there's no chance of changing it. Okay, they gave this guy the reins to do it, and he was the one who's going to blow everything up and make it better for everybody. And they're kind of like, wait a second, what happened to Charlie? Wait a second, why are we at war again?
Yeah. I think this is actually the most important question, and I will make this my final question I want to ask you, but I'm really interested about your faith life. You're Catholic, you're raised Catholic, you went to Catholic school, and you're talking to me about the Gnostic Gospels.
Okay, let's you and I go see the Pope together.
I would love to do that.
Seriously.
I think he's a little mad at America right now.
No, but you and I
I was tweeted the same day as the Pope, by the way, by Trump when he said bad things about me.
For real, let's go to the Vatican.
I would love to. I would
This
love
is the
to.
coolest place in the world. I love.
I just got back from Italy.
Yeah.
I was there 2
were
weeks
you?
ago. Yeah,
Okay.
I did my confirmation.
Well, oh, you did.
I did. It was just the most beautiful.
Oh, that's so cool.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was literally the same day that Trump posted the Time most vile person of the year. So I felt like there was, even in that, there was something divine, because it was like looking at fake power and then the real power of like having, a cardinal getting confirmed, being in Italy, the deep history, like what outlasts that. Like there was something so fickle about it. Like posting this photo of me when I was sick. Okay, great.
Wait, hold on.
Talk about humiliating people for sport.
Somebody literally sent this to me right before I came into you. They knew that I was going to talk to you. And I promise you I did not plan to do this.
No, you're so fine.
It was a prayer. If you are wise and understand God's ways, prove it by living an honorable life. Do good works with the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you are bitterly jealous and there is selfish ambition in your heart, don't cover up the truth with boasting and lying. For jealousy and selfishness are not God's kind of wisdom. Such things are earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and evil of every kind. The whole first piece of that, when you were just talking, is what's my faith. If you are wise and understand God's ways, prove it by living an honorable life. And the thing that I recognized is that quote from Mother Teresa. I don't go to Mass as much as I used to. I grew up going to Mass every Sunday. I never would miss a Mass. I went to Georgetown, Catholic. But what I realized is that my real faith is in that belief, is that just do the next right thing. That's it. Whether it's the golden rule. And that doesn't mean you have to be weak in your empathy, but always be compassionate. I believe in the perennial philosophy. I believe that same exact message from the Upanishads to...
This has been in my luggage for 3 days, traveling 4,000 miles across the world.
They are 5 minutes left.
The Gospels of Jesus Christ are all at base in terms of the red letter words of each of them are saying the same thing. Love your neighbor like you would want to be loved. And it's the hardest thing in the world to do. It's so hard. But that's my faith. And I think that there are certain people that arrive at certain times that are messengers of that. And like for instance, I certainly don't agree with the Catholic Church on a lot of stuff. I certainly have a, but I tell you what, I really am so proud of Pope Francis and now Pope Leo in terms of just the notion of social justice. And I think that there can be a practical application of that in terms of our leadership. I really do. I think that faith that is used as a cudgel is really, really dangerous. I think that I know a lot of people that I personally love and very close to that are part of an evangelical church, particularly in the African American community, but that are horrified by the complicity of a certain section of the evangelical church and what's happening in the world today.
Mm.
So to me, my faith is very personal, rooted in it's rooted in Catholicism, and it's rooted in the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit Church in particular, which they used to always call the Black Pope until we finally got a Jesuit Pope. That's and with the eyes wide open too, is that the church is as an institution is incredibly flawed and had been, but it's given me an enormous sense of community and belonging, just from a cultural perspective.
Well, what I'm going to say is I really think you should go to confession.
Yeah.
You should do that.
Oh, I don't worry. I've been to confession.
Yeah, you should go to confession and get, just
100%. Yeah, don't worry.
Go back to the root. Go back to the root. And,
here's the other
there's
thing.
so much there. And it's like, you're not, you're just not enough. Your brain's not enough. I mean, hearing you describe that, I can do this, that there's just something about, for me, like the submission at every Mass and just remembering like.
The beautiful thing.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing is this. The beautiful thing is that I have been going to confession for 6 years.
Wow.
Right here. That's me. I like that freedom. What you feel like the only person that you could say this to, and I'm not saying that there is not like my impure thoughts that I'm, that's between me and God. But I am saying is that feeling of release that the confessional is there for is the feeling that when I was finally able to see beyond all of the noise that I received by just existing and getting up every day and looking, turning over and seeing that my wife who saved me and Bowie and my dad as a dad, not as president, but just as a dad, and my mom and my sister and my aunts and uncles and everybody else, and then the wider circle, my friend George, my friend Franny, my friend Bobby, people that came into my life and never left, and despite it all, when there was nothing in it for them but just grief and ridicule. Pretty cool.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Well,
ladies and gentlemen, Hunter Biden, never thought this conversation would happen, and it just, stranger things have happened, and this has truly been one of the most powerful discussions that we've ever had. And I think it's because of your journey. You've lived through a lot. You lost your mother, your sister in a tragic accident. You lost your brother to cancer. Maybe for a while lost your dad to politics, the political machine. Lost yourself to crack cocaine. And somehow...
I gained everything.
Yeah, gained it all back.
Yeah, I really did. I can't tell you how much it means to me that that you would invite me here into your home to be able to have this discussion. And I really, really mean it. I'm really, really honored.
And I'm grateful that you took it and that you've accepted my apology, because I just feel really shitty about it. But
thanks.
Guilt is good, like we said earlier. Thank you so much for joining us. Amazing.
Oh my God. That was so refreshing. I needed that. I so needed that. And I'm so proud of Hunter. Every time I hear him, I'm just always so proud of him. But in the meantime, in between time, see you guys Sunday. Love you.